Don't worry, I can fix it. Dang.
And you guys are sitting up here telling some of these girls who are trained dancers that it's not giving enough. It's actually like very annoying. Hey guys, it's your girl Cameron and I am back at it again with yet another video. And today we are going to be talking about the dancer versus the singer. Can you be equally good at both? And can that skill launch you and carry you through and into your pop stardom? There's been a running debate on the pop star dancer extraordinaire. Their dance talent often outshines or may even exceed their singing talent. And in pop music, this is a valuable asset. The performer, the all-around entertainer. I would say in the last 5 to 10 years, I've seen more complaints and questioning about what happened to the dance component being married to the singing, the pop stardom component. But on the contrary, there's artists who began as dancers, quite a lot of them. And dance was their first love and singing came secondary until that developed and culminated into the perfect pop star potion. I wonder if that amuses audiences anymore. We talk about a lot of our pop stars losing a bit of shine. I feel like that dancing aspect really added that sparkle, that magic, that cherry on top. Recently, Tate McRae went viral for a mesmerizing dance break at one of her recent shows. And the negative Nancy's flooded the comments as they always do, saying that too bad her voice is unbearable. So the dancing chops are there, the singing chops, the music is, quote, bad. So let's face it, there are only a few elite performers in this generation that are dance-centric. With people even saying that Tate could be the second coming of Britney Spears. Whiny tone, baby tone, dance moves, and all. And I know a lot of you guys scoffed at that. Don't shoot the messenger. Thank you very much. And let's face it, this isn't the 2000s anymore. While increasingly audiences discuss the new talent or lack thereof, saying that dancing cannot simply carry a pop act or go be a backup dancer then, it's not enough. They're a singer, not a dancer first. So when we're discussing the pop star with the dance niche, I want to discuss that dancer to singer pipeline. Where do people stand on it today? Current pop era, where arguably we are lacking that and it's not as much of an industry standard and the capability that a dancer has to get to the top of the pop food chain. I think when authenticity sells, mainly the shiny costumes, glitz, and flashy dance moves might be taking a back seat. And as your resident dancer, yes, I have danced professionally, I've danced for artists, I've also trained in dance in a technical aspect. I feel like I am the perfect person to talk about this today. I really want to talk about why I think the dancer pop star is essential and it's valuable. Hit that subscribe button down below if you'd like to see more commentary content just like this video. Without further ado, let's just get right into the video. Let's talk about the ever-existing relationship between dancing, singing, and performance. We see this in a showbiz sense really show itself within the 19th century with the introduction of musical theater performances and productions. And with the emergence of musical styles like jazz, rock and roll, and pop music taking space on the airways, dance really accompanied these styles very well, but only so many are trained and also possess the capacity to dance, sing, and act, especially to a high level. The classic triple threat, always been a flex. And when we fast forward to the 20s, 30s, and 40s, we see stars like Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, who sang, danced, and acted, a Josephine Baker, such an iconic figure, amazing iconic dance moves, the Nicholas brothers. All of these people I listed truly married these skills so effortlessly. So we see that the dance sphere and singing sphere merged commercially very easily, and it was very attractive to audiences. And when we talk about people like Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, even James Brown, for example, would serve as major inspirations for people like Michael Jackson. So don't get it twisted, the singer-dancer combination plus the actor was always important and has been instrumental in creating some of the best performers and stars that we've seen in our lifetime. And let's be very clear, at some point it did become partially a requirement to start marrying all of these elements in pop stardom, at least again to get to the top of the pop food chain. And I would say in a mainstream sense, we saw this more in the 80s and 90s. We see more fanaticism, programs like MTV bringing music videos and performances to the masses, and there was a spotlight placed on that production value. The whole package really began to matter. And in the new age, with more talent as competition, more of us having TV sets and phones being used in a way that we can connect and view performances at the drop of a dime. So as an artist, you needed to stand out visually in the sea of talent, but also on the web. And with that, online connection can make us more vulnerable than ever before. From the harsh online opinions from millions to those who actually want to steal your information. And that brings me to today's sponsor of their video, Aura. I don't know about you guys, but I have received a lot more spam calls and texts than I ever have. A couple weeks ago, I actually got a text about a package that I never ordered, and then they told me that I needed to pay a certain fee to have it delivered. And I've gotten a lot of these text messages in the last 6 months. But what many people don't know is that this is directly related to companies not keeping our data safe. Hold your pearls. Not too long ago, AT&T shockingly revealed that nearly all of their customers' call and text records were exposed in a major data breach. And a few months prior, they revealed over 70 million of their users' social security numbers. Yes, social security numbers ended up on the dark web. Stolen logs also contain records of every number that an AT&T customer has called or texted. So for those of you guys who are like, I don't have AT&T, I'm good. If someone you texted or called did have AT&T, then unfortunately your number might have been exposed. Sorry. So what can you do to protect yourself and your information? I use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura will alert me directly if they find my phone number or any other sensitive information that's been compromised on the web. And they also give me fast fraud alerts if anyone tries to use my data to access any of my credit or bank accounts. And as someone who also cares about the safety and well-being of my family, I can keep them safe too with Aura. I also receive transaction monitoring, VPN, and antivirus, password manager, identity theft insurance, and for those of you guys who are parents, you get parental controls to keep those kitties safe. And I know that you're listening to this slightly or even majorly alarmed and concerned, but the good news is that I get all of this in one app at one affordable price. And I also have access to their AI-powered call assistant that screens all of my calls for spam or scams. And don't worry, the AI will forward any calls directly to me so that I don't miss calls on appointments, emergencies, or deliveries. And it also protects me from harmful text messages by filtering out known spam numbers, as well as scanning text messages for phishing threats. I refuse to leave myself exposed and my family vulnerable to data breaches. And if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/CameronSuzanne and try your first 2 weeks for free. Also, linked below in the description. Please check out Aura. It has been absolutely helpful. So thank you to Aura for sponsoring today's video. And let's get right back in to the rest of our commentary. But don't get it confused though. There is a difference between the quintessential dancer pop star versus the singing kind of dancing pop star, with only a couple pop stars being equally good as both. People who come to my mind, Beyonce, Michael Jackson, for example, please add to that list. But we had a lot of singing kind of dancing pop stars in the 2010s, which I think has trickled down into this drought. Because remember, Katy Perry wasn't a dancer per se. Ari is not a dancer per se. Miley isn't a dancer. Demi isn't a dancer. Selena's not a dancer. Taylor's not a dancer. Rihanna's not a dancer to the professional sense of the word. Gaga's kind of a dancer, but even with that, still a bit eclectic. So that's not to say that these girls couldn't dance. I mean, it was a requirement for them to do a little 1-2 step to keep it cute. But they're not dancers. And I do believe that there's a slight difference between acts who became singers and then got that dance training, a part of their artist development, versus those who were skilled and naturally gifted dancers. And we had performers who began as dancers or had very extensive dance training. They probably grew up thinking that they were going to be a dancer, and then somehow they launched themselves into pop stardom by being in the right place at the right time. And just a little note, we're discussing the dancer who elevates the song. Their dance moves can sell the music. So as I go into a list of quite a few pop stars from the past and present who started as dancers, I want you guys to keep and think in the back of your mind, Were they good enough for dancing to carry their careers in that performing aspect? And if they weren't dancers or performers, would their career have gone as far based off of the music alone? So let's talk about those pop stars whose dancing really launched them into stardom and facilitated their performer moniker. Paula Abdul. She started off as a LA Laker girl at the age of 18, and she would later become the head choreographer of the Laker Girls, where she was actually discovered by the Jacksons. Fun fact. They were watching courtside at a game. She had this star quality she exuded, and she would later go on to choreograph for their sister Janet Jackson, doing What Have You Done For Me Lately, Nasty Choreo, When I Think of You, and Control videos. And then in 87, she would do a singing demo. She just stumbled into that world, and she would get signed to Virgin Records America, and the rest was history. With the iconic videos like Cold Hearted, Paula carved her lane as the well-rounded performer. Obviously dancer first, singing talent came a bit secondary, but that dancing was her superpower. And if we mention her 1988 single, Straight Up, y'all know that's a classic, tap dance actually opened the video, and that takes a trained, skilled, hungry dancer to do something like that and bring that to the masses. Now we are going to talk about our favorite girl in the whole wide world, J-Lo. You know, y'all, she be catching strays in my videos, but I gotta give her her rounds. I gotta give her her respect when we talk about the dancing, singing pop star. J-Lo actually began her dance education around the age of 5 and continued dancing through her teenage years, doing styles such as flamenco, jazz, ballet, tap, etc. And she would actually quit college after her first semester and focus on dancing, where she enrolled full-time at Manhattan Phil Black's studio. She would go on to do musicals, and in the commercial dancing sphere, she would work with artists like MC Hammer, background dancer for New Kids on the Block for their 1991 AMA's performance, and she would also make her TV debut as a fly girl on the show Living Color, which was a sketch comedy series in 91. She would venture further into showbiz by dancing for Janet Jackson. If you watch That's the Way Love Goes music video, you will see a young J-Lo, and she was actually offered to dance for Janet on one of her tours, but J-Lo declined to really focus on acting and other creative endeavors. And the rest was really history. Landing that Selena role in 97 really displayed her acting chops, but also showed that she is a movement chameleon. She really had to dedicate herself to that method acting to dance like Selena, who was an amazing, charming dancer. We can talk about Madonna, a fellow Michigan native, thank you very much. And as a kid, her father actually tried to put her into classical piano lessons, and she begged him to put her into ballet. So he did, and the rest was history, where she would end up going to college for, I believe, a couple semesters at the University of Michigan. Actually, there were professors who said that Madonna could have absolutely been a professional dancer had she wanted to. So when she actually did end up quitting school, she moved to New York with only $35 in that pocket, and she would work with modern dance troupes. My dancers, you will know these names. Taking classes at Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. I actually studied there for a summer, fun fact. She apprenticed with Pearl Lang and studied at the legendary Martha Graham School. And I do think that Madonna, just being like that concert dancer, being a very trained artistic dancer, especially having a lot of modern experience, visual artistry, I think, is Madonna's strong suit. The dancing and artistic beginnings was a major asset and is a testament to why she was the visionary that she was. I have to mention Janet Jackson. There's not as much documentation of her dance training per se, but of course she was born into a family, and that family was very intertwined with the Motown machine. That would provide extensive singing training, dancing training, etiquette training. And Janet, however, appears to be more of a natural talent, being surrounded by the best displays of talent. I mean, her brother is Michael Jackson. And Janet Jackson would even appear on a show called Fame, which was a huge show at the time, 1984 to be exact, that really featured and highlighted the dancing, the singing, the musical theater nature, but brought it to TV. And we can also know that Janet would actually receive criticism for her weaker vocal technique compared to contemporaries like Mariah Carey at the time or Whitney Houston, placing more importance into the sultry, smoothness, whispery effect of her voice, creating an overall sound experience. So my point to say is that Janet Jackson is the perfect example of what we're talking about today. She wasn't always respected as a singer by critics, but she would go on to influence and make that performance in dancing a part of her signature that made her stand out amongst those vocalists. Janet's moves alone, along with her music, but her moves would influence influential dance pop star acts like Britney Spears, Aaliyah, and Jennifer Lopez. And in 2010, Joan Morgan of Essence magazine stated, Jackson's Control Rhythm Nation 1814 and Janet established the singer-dancer imprimatur standard in pop culture we now take for granted. So when you're thinking of asking Miss Jackson, what have you done for me lately, remember that Britney, Sierra, and Beyonce live in the house that Janet built. So let's keep in mind, let's put some respect. Y'all talk about we've gotten one of the best pop stars from being that performer, visionary, and dancer. Iconic. If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have all of the other performers in the same way that we do, that we cite as being the example of excellence. I even think of somebody like Shakira, the pop star with Spanish and Lebanese descent. She would carve a lane in the pop sphere with her belly dancing incorporation. I think that was something that wasn't introduced at the time in pop, and it made Shakira really stand out. And due to her Middle Eastern roots, when she was around the age of 4, her father took her to a local Middle Eastern restaurant. And that's where she heard her first doumbek, which is a traditional drum used in Middle Eastern music. And that's often accompanied by belly dancing. She began dancing on the table, and from then she knew she wanted to perform. And quiet as kept, Shakira at school was known as the belly dancer girl. Shakira saying that her belly dancing skills always came quite naturally for her. Shakira was this Latin international pop superstar, and the moves were enamoring and mesmerizing because anybody can't just do that. So dancing is very synonymous with Shakira's brand. I think of an artist like Sierra would present trendy choreography with control, precision, syncopation, and ease. And Sierra first trained or started as a dancer, but she was absolutely a dance girl throughout her prime and the peak of her career. And although Sierra had a nice voice, she also had a limited vocal range and was quite criticized for that. With one critic, John Carmenisia of the New York Times, saying, quote, "The lack of vocal presence guarantees that it is easier to connect with her music physically than emotionally." So it's very clear that even though Sierra wasn't the strongest like R&B vocalist, you saw the girl perform, you saw her videos, and you saw that dancing was really carrying and creating this sparkle and shine around who Sierra is. Some fun facts about some newer or modern artists like Doja Cat. She actually trained as a Bharatanatyam dancer, where she learned the basics of Indian classical dancing around the age of 5. So she would go on to say later that this style would actually help her in her fluidity and her dance moves, where she said, quote, "I feel like it taught me to be emotive and control my body in a special way." And she would later move to New York to learn breakdancing, become a part of a pop locking troupe for a period of time. And she's really one of these newer pop rap stars who has exhibited promising stage presence. I mean, the amount of times she's gone viral recently for her stage command, her dancing. We haven't seen a lot of people be this excited about a performer in a while. And I know you guys are going to ask me about the boys, people like Bruno Mars, Justin Timberlake, Usher, Chris Brown, and all of these men I listed have great musical talent. But let's be very clear, it was a major asset and made the girls go crazy that they could dance to. Normani actually grew up in New Orleans, where she took ballet, jazz, and tap classes starting at the age of 3. She was also a gymnast. But Normani said that dancing was always her very first passion. I mean, this girl would absolutely go on to crush it in Dancing with the Stars, for example. And my girl Normani, instead of performing her music, she would pull up to the Fenty fashion show just to do a dance sequence. So there's been a couple times where Normani's like, I'm just here to dance. And she's even been noted as being one of the most instrumental artists in reviving the choreography-centric music videos in the late 2010s. And choreographers like Jaquel Knight have stated that artists like Normani are trying to bring back dancing to the music industry. Dancers obviously are grateful for artists like her who are getting up here and really have a respect for the craft and the artistry of dancing. So let's just say that the dance lessons to pop star pipeline is strong, baby, but only if you were genuinely strong enough to survive the industry by being good at dancing, by being great, exceptional, even better, if not just as good as their backup dancers. But let's talk about dancing in the pop sphere and the growth in visibility over time. I think social media really lifted the veil for that. And there's a lot of famous choreographers who have now become celebrities in their own right or in high demand. So we can talk about Atlanta native choreographer Sean Bankhead, who's the hottest choreographer out, arguably, right now. And he's also a choreographer who is known to be able to work with non-dancers in the industry, really take them through that artist development training and turn those people who weren't as confident as dancers into looking like pros. He's worked with the likes of Normani, Victoria Monet, Cardi B, Lotto, Lil Nas X. He's had the world dancing, where he often creates tutorials to these dances as well to get fans up and moving and engulfed in the movement. And I know that he's very adamant on explaining and defending the complexity of the singer who dances, outlining the hard work and overcritical nature that these new girls face at the thumbs of those typing away online. And actually, this is quite relevant. Months ago when Tate McRae, I believe, was on Jimmy Fallon or SNL, I don't know, there was a user who said, "She checks all the boxes, but there's something missing, at least for me. A magneticism, a star quality, something. I don't know. She's talented though." And Sean Bankhead, who was the choreographer for this performance and works with Tate very closely, says, quote, "Damn, can y'all give these girls like 5 or 6 performances before y'all start doing all of this? Y'all want to see performances again, right? What bar are y'all setting for debut SNL performances at the start of your career? A lot of these girls are putting in effort. So if you guys want the girls to dance again," Sean Bankhead, who's a choreographer that works with these folks very closely, are telling you this shit doesn't happen overnight. It's very easy to like sit on your phone and type away and critique every portion of a performance. When you're not a dancer, you can't even touch your toes. And you guys are sitting up here telling some of these girls who are trained dancers that it's not giving enough. It's actually like very annoying that some of you guys don't have one talented bone in your body and you are very quick to pick apart every minute detail. And I would also like to note there's choreographers like Paris Goebel, Jojo Gomez, lover, and notable mentions of other really influential choreographers are Charm LaDonna, Jaquel Knight, Aaliyah Janelle, Brian Friedman, Lorianne Gibson, Chris Grant. For those of my dancers, please comment some down below. Does the singer-dancer equate to pop stardom? And in a case like Tate McRae, audiences are starting to signal that she's great, but it's not good enough to boost her music career, not in today's day and age. Some saying that her momentum is slowing and that the music just isn't carrying. So like, yeah, these dance breaks and these videos going viral are cute, but I'm still not listening to her music and I probably never will. And Tate McRae, I would say out of everybody I'm talking about today, she's probably the most well-documented dancer, pop star, maybe more so than any other artist I've talked about. She began dancing recreationally around the age of 6. At age 11, she would go on to train in all styles of dance at YYC Dance Project. She underwent ballet training at Alberta Ballet Company. She was awarded Best Mini Female Dancer at the 2013 awards in New York City, the brand ambassador for the American dance manufacturer Capezio, the bronze medal for her duet at the 2015 Youth America Grand Prix, that is a huge ballet competition. June 2016, she took part in the 13th season of American television show So You Think You Can Dance. She was featured on the cover of Dance Spirit magazine April 2017, which is also the biggest dance publication that dancers, choreographers, people in the industry consume. And in 2017, that's when she would kind of start creating these cover videos and writing her own songs and exhibiting that talent. So at some point, that is what catapulted her into the pop space. And it's not even that Tate's voice is bad, in my opinion. It's just particularly annoying to some folks. I think for some songs it works for me. I've seen, some people say it's like Camila Cabello infused. Her hits are bops. Like, I bop to them. I don't harbor on it too much, but I understand where people get this like annoyingness voice from. I get where that comes from. But let's be clear that the girl can dance. She has extreme flexibility that 85% of dancers don't have. Like, even between dancers, Tate is like top 10%. So she's polished that skill. She's translated that trained dancing performance into more of a commercial with a sense of sex appeal and maturity added to her act. With some people saying that the rebrand that she would end up having, she's rebranded into the hot pop star, She definitely transitioned her dance movement to fit some of those faster, more upbeat pop songs. And she has a few promising hits like Greedy and X's that also had very great dance moments that I believe were both choreographed by Sean Bankhead that I enjoyed. But referencing her last album, her last project, and previous works, her music tends to fall slightly flat and fall along that line of being slow and moody. It doesn't really have that dance upbeat nature as her artist signature. And if the whiplash, hair choreo, flashy legs is going to be Tate's signature, the music overall needs to match, so that it makes a bit more sense for audiences and that dancing is respected along with the music that she presents. She can't showcase that strength as much if 85% of her songs are slow and drag and are moody. And we don't have very many pop R&B stars that are dancers. And when you see Tate on stage, it's electrifying. That's what really sets her apart from a lot of her peers. So definitely go along with that. I think she needs to make music that matches that a bit more. But overall, I am personally excited about having a Tate McRae. We have a few people, a few girls who I think that are out contemporarily right now who are going to be holding that torch and really have brought back the dancing, singing, overall package component. I actually saw a tweet of someone comparing and ranking who's a better dancer out of this set group of artists. Tinashe, Victoria Monet, Normani, and Chloe. Now, I know what you guys are going to say, don't compare women, I understand that, but the dancer in me, I think it's always really fun to evaluate dance skill, like if you compete in dance competitions to get compared from a dance technical level. There were people scuffling in the comments like, no, this one's better, this girl's a better dancer. And that's what really made me think, like, damn, like, we got a couple dancers in here where we're not even just talking about the music no more, we're talking about the dance skill, which I think is kind of exciting. I'm gonna go from a dancing only perspective. I would put Normani at the top of the list. Ooh, this is really hard because Victoria has really showed her cards, especially with her All Right video. The moves were eccentric. She's so smooth. But I'm going to go with number 2, Victoria. Otherwise, I would usually say Tinashe. Number 3 will go Tinashe, and 4, Chloe. When I discuss the whole package, I would say that Tinashe is one of the most versatile dancers that we've seen or we have as a pop star. She has such a wealth of knowledge of styles and a large movement vocabulary. Dynamic music to match it as well. I think the music coupled with it, Tinashe is able to really exhibit her versatility as a dancer. The only thing is that vocally, when Tinashe sings live and dances, she doesn't have as much vocal stability. That's kind of the trade-off for me, because the singing does matter. With Normani, she has very clean lines. It gives professional. And she's so good that even the professional dancers that she works with have a hard time keeping up with her. And she melds very well with them. Stunning visuals when we do get them. But unfortunately, I just don't think we've had enough Normani performances. It's not consistent enough to really give like that full whole package stamp of approval. But she is absolutely revolutionizing, or I would say bringing back this dance movement in pop. And I'm living for it. For Chloe Bailey, she's the vocalist out of this 4 group of girls. I think that she has an untamed energy at times that she has, I think, begun honing. I think she's improved a lot. But she's an entertaining ball of energy when she knows how to tap into it, and she commands a stage. She definitely gives singer first. Good dancer. I think she's like a Lady Gaga in the sense where she has that in her, but she has to work a lot harder to pull that out and make things crisp and clean. I really think that Victoria Monet is potentially the strongest contender for the all-around pop star with a dance niche. Her songs are good and catchy, musically rich, and she's really a student of her predecessors. Victoria has a very clear sonic identity, which informs the dance moves that she does. Quite different than anybody else. I mean, can we discuss the Party Girls choreo? Can we discuss the All Right music video? She's too good. She's too good. And she sings live. Duh. Like, you guys, the mic is on. Her vocal stability, her stamina, her diaphragm control. And I genuinely think that she is that girl of our generation. So in conclusion, I think to be a pop star, it shouldn't go devalued having the package. And dancing is a part of that package, so respect it. It's the entertainment factor. And I'm personally excited that I listed quite a few artists that we have in modern times that have this package and are really bringing dancing back to the music. What's next? I think we could have the music match that magic a bit more, and I think there's potential there. The only pitfall that I think some of these new performers are going to have when we're talking about dancing and visuals is they need to carve their own lane. It's cool to do reenactment or have inspiration in your dances and movement, but at a certain point, you have to make an identity and a signature for yourself and create your own original fly. So I'm excited to see what's next with a lot of these blooming choreographers, with these blooming dancers and singers who are coming up who have great, strong dance training. And I think there's a lot more promising dance talent within the pop sphere that I've seen in a while. So comment down below. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this long analysis of a video. I would love to say before you leave this video today, click that link in my description or use my code aura.com/CameronSuzanne to get 2 weeks free. Thank you guys so much for joining me with today's video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.